Okay, it is, by the old clock on the wall here, hello, 12:54 p.m. on Sunday, November 1st, day after Halloweener. What am I doing? I'm attempting to replace a whole lot of other videos that I shot to give an indication of what's going on here. This particular vid is for my friend and I guess you could call him Kickstart supporter, Nick, just as an update. So over here, this is where the so-called news set was before. Oops. Pretty ramshackle. Now the news set is way over here, completely buried, as well as the bookcases here, which were over there by the window, if you recall from the animated GIF or various still photographies. So what's going on now is, if I explained there was some weird phenomenon, because this is an untreated room. I mean, it's basically just a workshop, as you can tell. I don't know if you've seen this. This is a nice little piece of cabinetry that I worked up to put the mixer on. I'm not going to uncover it, but it rolls, as well as everything else in this room, which is quite possibly one of the reasons that this is taking so long. I think I may have sent this out, but I'm not sure. We can look under here and see the industrial grade casters, including some really cool neoprene ones. That's right in the middle of the frame there. There are two of those, one behind the other, and then three on each side. So that's a total of 8 casters, which was needed to support all this weight. Originally, these two, quote, Cherry brand, homebrew, that's my answer to Apple. These are Cherry computers, not Apple computers. But these two monitors are very heavy, and so far the cash flow does not support adding another couple of these, albeit maybe smaller. But there will be LCD monitors here instead, in which case I won't really need all of the casters underneath. Unless I decide to dispense with this, what I used to call the block, and put all of that under here, which will save some space. Anyway, this whole unit, am I zoomed in here? No. Okay. I'll go over here. This whole unit will now occupy the same space in the corner over here that the news set previously did. This was all done to kind of maximize the sound in this room, because there is also music involved with these projects that I'm doing, although they've kind of winnowed down to 3 now, which is a good thing. So what's going on here, to get on with it, call this rubber spaghetti sans sauce, secret or otherwise. Some time ago I acquired these speakers. These are JBL LS305s, and for fairly inexpensive speakers, they're remarkably good. Not only that, they produce a remarkable low end, and it seems like this particular area right around in here is the only place, except for one in the past, where I can hook up the subwoofer and get remarkable fundamental frequencies. So I just hooked this up because of a YouTube video featuring the group Yes, somewhat of a latter-day performance, and it was so incredible in terms of the bass playing. Chris Squires, the bass player, who's no longer with us, sadly. I had to bring this out. was sitting over here, awaiting its final installation place. So where am I here? I was explaining, or attempting to, this little pocket in here, previously rotated upon, for some reason supports the low end, the low frequencies. When I had this computer over here against this wall, where the table is now, and that was when I had this so-called news set over in the corner, as per the animated GIF. The sound was just horrible. I literally lost the fundamental that this subwoofer can produce, and I suppose it's because of standing waves and various and sundry other kinds of anomalies and aberrations that exist in a room that isn't properly treated with bass traps and things of that nature. So I made the command decision, because there is going to be a lot of music being done here, hopefully, to completely gut this whole thing and start over so that this can go in the corner, and put my seat, my chair, where I sit, right in the middle of where, not where this is. This will be moved back, and this will put this in the sweet spot. That's when I decided to mount the speakers on the wall. So, moving ahead, that turned out to be more of a problem than I thought, because there's already enough rubber spaghetti here. I mean, it's almost impossible to make a quick change if I have to. I might as well allot a half hour's worth of time to trace the wires and so on and so forth, and invariably I'll change one thing and everything else, well, not everything else, but it's kind of like plumbing. You go to fix the hot water inlet valve and break some other part of the plumbing. So now you've got 3 or 4 plumbing jobs to do when originally there was only one. So, okay, so here's the JBL. It's kind of hard to see in this light for some reason. This is a 5-inch woofer, long throw woofer, and this is, I forget what they call it. This, there we go. If it'll focus. Yeah. Well, maybe. It says it's focusing, but it doesn't look very focused. It's what's called a waveguide tweeter assembly, and what this does is it disperses the highs so that the so-called sweet spot, air quotes, span more of the space rather than having or necessitating that you be right smack in the middle. However, since I was doing this, I decided I would go with the mathematics and the specifications, and with the size of this whole unit here, basically the geometric configuration problem, it doesn't fit well in the corner. So in order to be able to be in the equilateral triangle, which is what all the big guys say is the thing to have, you want to be in between this and the other speaker, which will be there, mounted on this stand, of course, down here. And you want to be at the center of the equilateral triangle. So quite a bit of measurement, and in order to do that, I had to build this little wing. And it turned out to be more of a hassle than I thought, because with these cabinets, which are now all in disarray, for them to fit along this wall here behind the wing, and I might as well show that now, this structure, the reason it looks unfinished is because it was and has been ever since my friend Chris Beyer, who is a master construction wizard, we built this into the corner of the room, which was originally simply, in other words, all that along there and here it did not exist. As a matter of fact, this might be kind of fun to show, and it'll help orient one. So this wasn't here. This wall just continued on straight through, and there was just a small door here. So anyway, without going into a whole lot of hoo-ha, we built all of this up. And here's a closet in here, which is storage and also my clothes. And you'll get a kick out of this, another set of speakers, because the company, American Music Supply, really messed up, did not follow my orders, and sent them out prematurely. And I guess they felt they had enough egg on their face that they would just quietly send out another order. So now I have 4, although I only bought 2. So 2 of them are down here and have not really even been out of the box, which is a good thing. Plus they cost me some consternation and some time, so I don't feel like it's a bad deal all the way around. I'm going to be coming back in here in a moment. I should be using my poor man's Steadicam, which I made up. So kind of a cool little device. Here it is. It's a mic stand, but I MacGyvered this thing up. I'm not sure how I can do this. Let's put it here. And this was all fabricated. So this was attached here. This part is a standard bracket mount for this goodie, which was also MacGyveration. This was originally a microphone clip. Hello, my name is Mike Clip. So what happens with this is I can open it up, put the phone in here, bingo, and now I have some stability, as witnessed by the walking away from the phone. Hello. So that clip can be undone and placed on the Bush League Steadicam, which has a weighted base, and it helps a little in eliminating the jerkiness. So getting back to this, the only problem with mounting these speakers on the wall, of course, is that they have their own amplifiers. These are Class D amplifiers, which are quite good, or they seem to be, and they require power. And as I mentioned just a moment ago, already too much spaghetti down here, so what am I going to do? So I cut holes in the wall, which is fairly obvious if you look at the gray, which have now been filled in. I've actually memorialized this in previous videos with all of the holes. Then came up with this idea. Why is it a keyhole? Well, because these cables are actually fairly sophisticated in their design, at least so the specs would like us to believe. So ultimately, this whole room is supposed to be our bedroom, and has been from day one. So at some point, the world's largest closet, as we called it, quote unquote, that Chris and I built here, will be part of the bedroom, and the bed will go there, and we can open the windows and listen to the rain and see the deers that walk along that ridge up there. But right now I need to use this because it's the only space I got, and it's actually, there's not even enough space in the 1602 square feet here, but we're just bulging at the seams, and I'm knocking things over constantly, and we won't even go there. So obviously, in order to get these wires out of the wall, I had to cut notches in here, same thing over here, and run the red wire down here, and this is where they emerge. How did we get the red wires in that socket? Well, it's not really a socket, but there is a slit here. This is really kind of nicely fabricated. Maybe I'll take a picture of it. You can see there's a little bit of an edge at the bottom. That's rubber, and that pulls out. So when it comes time to take out the wires, we undo these 2 screws, pull this little tab out that has been fabricated out of a regular light switch, which is what this is, just a regular wall light switch purchased at Lowe's. and the whole wiring comes out. Same thing here. These are gaskets made out of mouse pads. So here we have the AC from the speaker, the mains, going down this wall, separated from the red wires internally so as to minimize any inductance, AC interference, and therefore hum. Not likely anyway, but well, what the heck. So the red wires go down here this way at an angle. Black wires go straight down the wall stud, emerge here. This one, as you can see, slips in under that lip there and comes out here. From underneath. Comes along here and then up. Of course, this one here will also have its own respective cute little grommet that's been screwed into the space. This will turn everything on and off simultaneously. So all I have to do is hit that switch. I wanted it to be higher so I don't have to bend over as much. Unfortunately, it's upside down, but well, that's life in the fast lane. So getting back to this was necessary to fabricate, and I'll try to get a shot behind here. There are 4 really substantial brackets. That doesn't really need to be there right now, except I have to poke through, because it turns out that this plane here was a little bit depressed in that direction. So in order to smooth this off, we're using wallboard mud. Anyway, it'll be sanded down and it'll look nice, and then it'll be painted. And the bracket for the other speaker, that bracket there, will be mounted in these holes, which turns out farther than the edge of the wall, or the world's largest closet wall. This is probably enough for now. A lot of work has gone into this. It's always nice to have it look nice, but there's practicality behind all of it, which is I had to make sure that there were no more additional wires. I'm just beset with wiring. So these will connect to extension cables, and there'll be a runner across the floor, one of those plastic goodies that might even glue it down to this floor. We're not going to do anything with the floor for now, if ever. And it plugs into the back of this nano patch, which is all covered with dust because of the sanding and everything. Has a high quality potentiometer in it, so I can actually control my levels emitted by the computer sound card without having to to mouse around. So there's that. The only thing I was going to do, and it's really kind of hilarious because talk about out of sequence, but overall universal continuity. These lights diffused. They're made by a company called Cowboy Studio. Whoopee! Turned out to be invaluable. I don't think I could have done any of this work. We're going down the stairs now, which is why it just went black. There's nothing wrong with your television set. We control the management. As a cutism I wrote up as a satire on Outer Limits. So here's everything I'm going to need to paint. But the reason I came down here was to show the color. I think this is going to look really nice when it's done, and it wasn't that much more or extra work to do it correctly. It's a kind of a mauve, and this camera does a fairly decent job of rendering color, so you can probably kind of get the idea. It's not wanting to focus. There we go. Anyway, that's the paint. what else? Some other time we'll talk about the mice. We we have an ongoing mice experiment. We have 12 of them now, and we, I think all but one or two of them, both of whom have gotten away. So I had them all ensconced, and then one of them decided to be my BFF, my best friend forever, and crawled up my arm. And at that time, this table didn't have tax stuff on it. It had a whole lot of eBay items to sell, which are not around here anymore. Where did they go? Some of it's over here. And we have these guys who are taking a nap. And there are 6 of them in there. They're YouTube videos, actually, that I can point you to. And then one of them, one of the first ones, lives in here. His name is Lucky. And unfortunately, it's nap time. Got a couple guys in here. Maybe you can see them running around. I can't change the lighting without stopping the continuous action. That's Paco sitting in the wheel. There he goes. Hey, Paco. I kind of saved his life. Paco, who was free range at the time, meaning running around loose in the house, was sitting here on the floor, not moving. And he looked dejected and forlorn and lonely. So I kind of took him under my wing, and we rehabilitated Paco, and he turns out to be having one of the best personalities. Then we have, oh, this is fun. Unfortunately, Paco can't get on the wheel because one of the other ones, here's how we handle the mice that are not supposed to be jammed up in the back. Get off. Get down. There, thank you. That's Dewey. Oh, it's back up again. So we have Dewey. You can even hear the rattle of the wheel now that I just freed it up. Dewey and Squeaker. Squeaker because when he gets agitated, he squeaks up a storm. And then over here, we have a place, and I'll expand on that later. We have Fatso and Waldo, so we can ask, where's Waldo? Here's Sue, and I will carry. I'm making a little video for Nick.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for carrying. Hi, Nick.
Sue says hi. Back from Trader Joe's. Remind me to tell you about this fan. Another MacGyveration. I've been doing more and more MacGyverings. This is from a medication bottle. I finally broke down and invested in a very inexpensive Dremel ripoff. Best investment I've ever made in tools. And cut this out and affix that here, because without this is conical, shaped like a cone. You can't even grip it. You would try to turn it on, and all you would do is shove it all around the countertop like this. So now all you have to do is grasp it and turn it on. Amazing what a little ingenuity can do. All right, that's probably enough. I'm now heading back upstairs. And this time we'll turn the light on so that I don't have to do backward flips down the stairs if I slip up. And so much to do, so little time. But I thought this might be appreciated. All of this stuff started way back about 4 months ago, I guess. I mean, this, as I may have explained in a previous email blast, this is a reverse. In other words, the person sits here, where I'm not sitting, but this is where the body goes. It was originally a computer station, but this was the front of the computer station, so quite a bit of re-engineering was done. Had to cut this out down there because there was no room for the feet. And I think we already covered this. Same thing with this, completely turned around. And in this case, it was necessary to mount the drawers on a slide. This one doesn't want to go in because of this mouse. There we go. Oh, that's because of that. Anyway, they both slide, which gives me some versatility. Alright, well, enough for now. Hopefully this is not too boring, and turn it around and do a selfie. This is not easy to do because I'm never really sure if I'm in the middle of the frame or not. Hello! Or, as Robin Williams said in Mrs. Doubtfire, hello! Bye-bye.